Good morning. Happy Mother's Day. Sing it, baby. Before I start, I want to make a couple of announcements. And next Sunday, we will have a dinner. And it's a going away celebration for the Stormer family and the Seal family, as they have been deployed to different places in their military service. We want to wish them well, and so we'll have a little dinner for them, and just to let them know that we care and love them very much as they leave this place to go and minister in places far away from we may would ever be able to get a chance to go to. Also, I want to remind you that on the 28th, Robin Mewborn will be speaking here. I think most of you know her. It'll be a wonderful opportunity to hear from this lady's experiences with her daughter and her life, and we're just looking forward to hearing that. I want to read something, I guess, before I start. I don't know if all of you know, we have a son that is getting ready to go to the Philippines and to marry a young lady there that we have fallen in love with, Miss Kai Sylvan, and she will soon be Kai Grissom. That is, she sent this today, Kim, so it was to you. Happy Mother's Day, Mom. Thank you for your love. Thank you for your being the best mom to Matt. He is a very kind, respectful, and loving person because he grew up surrounded by all of your love. Felt so blessed already knowing you'll become my mother-in-law. I love you, Mom. Enjoy the rest of your day. Plus, extend my kisses and love to Matt's grandmothers and all the mommies in the family. God bless. So, that was from our new daughter-in-law to be. And be prayerful for our son as he leaves in a couple of weeks to begin a new adventure. You know, when I was thinking as Mother's Day is here, and I'm certain as Kim spent some time with Matt last night, that she is going to certainly remember a lot of the things that she had done with him when he was just a little one, when she held him in his arms, and when he depended on her for so much, and now that he's able to go and take care of so many things himself. So, let me ask your moms a question. Do you remember the moment that you found out that you were pregnant? Do you remember that moment that you found out? I want you to just think about it just a minute. We got a new one here, you know, and I was thinking, you know, Lara, you know, wonder what that was like, you know, how you felt. I mean, how did you? I don't know how you could feel. I know what I would feel. Yeah, that. But how did you feel, you know, when you took that little test that you take, or if you went to the doctor, or whatever was? I mean, were you happy? You know, were you excited? Were you shocked? You know, I think sometimes we're shocked when we find out these things. You know, like I weren't expecting that. You know, it's like, well, didn't you know how that happens? You know, or were you upset? You know, were you angry? You know, because this wasn't in the plan. You know, I wasn't looking for this. Think about, you know, the first time you did it. You know, no matter what, no matter how you felt, no matter if you were excited, happy, whatever. That moment that you knew changed your life forever. Forever. Knowing that. Even though you may not feel the baby inside me, even though you may not look any different or act any, but that moment changed everything. Changed everything about how you thought about everything. It changed everything about where you went. Changed everything about what you ate. It changed everything about what you did. It changed everything from that moment on. You were responsible. You knew it. No matter if you were young, old, whatever. At that moment, you realize that I am responsible for another living being, another human. Man, that's a big deal, isn't it? Being a mom. I remember when we first went to the doctor to get that, was it a sonogram, echogram, or ultrasound? Yes, ultrasound. Yeah. I'm still working on my doctor's degree. When we got that ultrasound, we were sitting in there in Kim's belly, and the doctor's, doing all this stuff, and you could see the baby in there moving around, and they had a little thing so you could hear it, boom, 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 You remember that? And it's, wow, I mean, there's a living thing in my wife, and all I could think of was that movie Alien, And the doctor, old Dr. Jones, he's an old man. He shouldn't have been practicing medicine. He should have quit a long time ago. But he asked us, said, you guys want to know the sex of the baby? We said, yeah, we'd like to know. And he said, well, it's a boy or a girl. I said, man, you're not even funny. So, for 9 months, I don't know why we were convinced that we were having a little girl. And so we called Matt Kinsey for 9 months. That's why he's so messed up. I remember going to those Lamaze classes. Any of you guys do that? All right, just a few of you. It was a big deal when it was a big deal 30 years ago. Everybody had to go to the Lamaze. If you loved your wife, you had to go to the Lamaze class, okay? Now, that was a sign of whether you loved her or not. If you didn't love her, you wouldn't go to that stuff, So when your wife came home and says, they're giving Lamaze classes down at the community college, you're going, hooray! So you go down to the Lamaze class, and they show you a video how this all started anyway, and you're in there with a dozen other women with big old bellies, and they're all laying on the floor with pillows and stuff, and you got a bunch of guys standing around with their hands in their pockets thinking, what in the world am I doing here? And you're learning how to breathe. You're learning how to all this stuff, all these things, and you're trying to be supportive. And I'm going to tell you what the Lamaze class, I'm going to tell you why they have it. Some woman decided that I'm going to do something to give my husband something to do to get out of my way until I give the birth of this baby. That's all it's for. It's just to give him something to do, to think he's involved in some way. And I found out quick in that delivery room when I started doing that, because they called you coach. I'm a coach. Coach Steve. I should have had a shirt. Coach Steve with a little whistle. I wish I'd have had the whistle. But I'm there to coach her, to get her to learn how to breathe, and the only thing that she told me to do is to shut up, go find a doctor, and give me some pain medication. Lamaze. Man, that's crazy stuff. All that stuff went out the window. I'm going to tell you that when the baby started coming. I watched Kim laying there and so much pain and just seeing all that anguish on her face. And I'm going to tell you, all I could do was pray. I just prayed. I prayed and I prayed and I prayed. And I was thanking God. I was giving thanksgiving. I said, thank you. Thank you, God, you made me a man. Because I'm going to tell you right now, if I ever had seen that, we would have no kids in our house. None. And then, if I had ever gone through it, there's no way in the world we'd have had a second one. There would have been one child in our house. I mean, just who in their right mind would want to do this again, And but after all that agony, after all that pain, all those ugly things that were said about me, when Matt came out and Kim heard him cry the first time, and she just like this, that's how she was, and she did, the nurse put him in her arms, and she just held him, and she looked at him, and she was just smiling, and she was just so happy, and there was no pain no more. All that stuff was forgotten. All of it gone. She knew exactly how to hold him. She knew exactly what to say. She knew all. How did she know that stuff? How did she know how to do this? Because me, I'm like, the first time I hold the kids, it's kind of like that. She knew all these things. You know why? Because she's a mama. That's what she is. And there's no other creatures on the earth like you women, you mothers. So we celebrate you today. We honor you. We love you. And I know 364 days out of the year we may take you for granted. We may not even think nothing of you. We may not say anything to you. But today, we honor you and we love you. So being a parent, being a mother is a big deal, isn't it, moms? It's a big deal. It's a big deal. You know, you may not get the recognition for what it is that you are and what it is that you do and what you feel, because, you know, most of us don't understand what you feel until we've actually been through it. And that's the way it is in so many things. Until we've experienced something ourselves, we really don't understand what it is that you feel or what you go through or what it is that you know. It's just, this is just not another position in life that people can just be. It's what God's called us to be. It's how He created us. It's how He made us. He made us with this great purpose. And you mothers, He give you a special responsibility. I know when we left the hospital the first time, I was thinking, maybe these guys don't know us well enough to take Matt home. Because we didn't hardly know how to balance the checkbook. And here we were going to have to take care of this new baby. We had those the swing things. I think that now they're electric or battery. We had to crank it up. So we didn't know what to do with him. He wanted to cry all night. So we figured out real quick, if we put him in there, crank that thing up, and just as soon as it go click, 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 boy, he'd go to sleep. And as soon as that thing wound down, he would go, wah! I mean, he'd stop as soon. And then and one of us, Kim or me, was kicking each other, go crank it, you know. What do we know? How do you know what to do? You know, you just don't know. Life as a mother is a roller coaster ride, isn't it, moms? I mean, your life. There's moments when everything is just wow, it's great. I mean, I love my kids; they're just wonderful. And then the next minute, you're way down at the bottom of the hill, and you're like, man, your heart's breaking because of maybe some things they're doing, some things that are happening. There are great days in your life, and then there's tough days. And I want to look at three mothers today. You think three mothers? Gosh, Steve's preached long enough as it is. I really will be brief, but three mothers today. I want to look at three moms that's in the Bible. Three moms that certainly had obstacles in their lives. You know, as a mother, and these three ladies, you know, they had high hopes for their children, high hopes for their boys. In these examples, this first mother was Jochebed. Anyone know who she is? Very good. What great students. Jochebed, Moses' mom. Take your Bibles and turn to Exodus chapter 1 rather. Let's look at Exodus 1. I'm going to read a little more than normal in this one because I just want you to know, understand. I want you to put, you mothers, I want you to put yourselves in the place of this woman, you know. And I want you to think about this as I read this, okay? I want you to think about the 9 months that you had this baby in your belly, okay? I want you to think about the 9 months that you carried your child. And I know, because I know what Kim did. You know, she was talking about all the things that this baby would be and all the things that he or she would do. And we'd sing music to it. I'd play the guitar, you know, and we did all kinds of stuff, you know, when the baby was in there. We had great plans. And I want you to think about what it must have been like for Jochebed, because this woman here, for 9 months, was afraid for her son's life. That's all she thought about. That's all she didn't have no dreams about what he would be and what he would become, perhaps, but she wanted him to live, simply, to survive. Exodus. Let me read a lot. Stay seated, because I'm going to read some other things today, and just listen to what I have. I'll read verses 1 through 22, and then I'm going to read verses 1 through 10 in chapter 2. So just listen as I read. These are the names of the sons of Israel who went to Egypt with Jacob, each with his family: Reuben, Simeon, Levi, Judah, Issachar, Zebulun, and Benjamin, Dan, and Naphtali, Gad, and Asher. The descendants of Jacob numbered 70 in all. Joseph was already in Egypt. Now, Joseph and all his brothers and all that generation died. Now, this is a little history lesson, okay? So you'll know what's taking place when Moses is about to arrive. So all the generations had died, but the Israelites were fruitful and multiplied and became exceedingly numerous, so that the land was filled with them. Then a new king who did not know about Joseph came to power in Egypt. Look, he said, to his people, the Israelites have become much too numerous for us. Come, we must deal shrewdly with them, or they will become even more numerous, and if war breaks out, we'll join our enemies, fight against us, and leave the country. So they put slave masters over them to oppress them with forced labor, and they built Pithon and Ramses as store cities for Pharaoh. But the more they oppressed, the more they multiplied and spread. So the Egyptians came to dread the Israelites and worked them ruthlessly. They made their lives bitter with hard labor and brick and mortar and with all kinds of work in the fields. And all their hard labor, the Egyptians used them ruthlessly. The king of Egypt said to the Hebrew midwives, whose names were Shiphrah and Puah, when you help the Hebrew women in childbirth and observe them on the delivery stool, if it is a boy, kill him. But if it is a girl, let her live. The midwives, however, feared God and did not do what the king of Egypt told them to do. They let the boys live. Then the king of Egypt summoned the midwives and asked them, why have you done this? Why have you let the boys live? And the midwives answered Pharaoh, Hebrew women are not like Egyptian women. They are vigorous and give birth before the midwives arrive. So God was kind to the midwives, and the people increased and became even more numerous. And because the midwives feared God, he gave them families of their own. Then Pharaoh gave this order to all his people, every boy that is born you must throw him into the Nile, but let every girl live. Now, the story of Moses. Now, a man of the house of Levi married a Levite woman, and she became pregnant and gave birth to a son. And when she saw that he was a fine child, you just remember that, okay? She saw that he was a fine child. She hid him for 3 months. But when she could hide him no longer, she got a papyrus basket for him and coated it with tar and pitch. Then she placed the child in it, put it among the reeds along the bank of the Nile. His sister, Miriam will know, stood at the distance to see what would happen to him. And when Pharaoh's daughter went down to the Nile to bathe, and her attendants were walking along the riverbank, she saw the basket among the reeds and sent her slave girl to get it. She opened it and saw the baby. He was crying, and she felt sorry for him. This is one of the Hebrew babies, she said. Then his sister, Miriam, asked Pharaoh's daughter, shall I go and get one of the Hebrew women to nurse the baby for you? She's a slick girl, isn't she? Yes, go, she answered. And the girl went and got the baby's mother, Moses' mom. Pharaoh's daughter said to her, take this baby, your own baby, back, and nurse him for me, and I will pay you. Just a whole sermon there. You do God's will. You don't do God's will, you're going to pay the price. You hear me what I'm saying? You do the will of God, you're going to get paid. All right, you just think about that. So the woman took the baby and nursed him, and when the child grew older, she took him to Pharaoh's daughter, and he became her son. She named him Moses, saying, I drew you out of the water. Let's pray. God, thank you for this word. As we study some of these other mothers, I just pray, God, that we just understand your sovereignty in all of the things that are in our lives. If we just seek you, be obedient to your calling, you will make happen what it is that you desire to accomplish. Thank you for your word in Jesus' name. Amen. If we were to look into some of the other books in the Bible, we'd understand some things. We see here when we read this, we think of Moses, as perhaps it almost sounded like he was the first child. And there's other commentaries that would say, well, Miriam was not really a sister. She was a sister from the family of God in this way. But if you look into some of the other chapters, you'll see that Aaron and Miriam were both brothers and sisters of Moses, of the same mom and dad, and that they were older than Moses. They were older than Moses. So Moses was the younger of this. I find it interesting how parents treat their first kids too, though. Don't you? I mean, how many of you have more than, have maybe are you a second, a third, or fourth child? How many of you are? Okay. I remember a little bit about how it is when I've seen it. I've seen it in other parents. Remember when that first baby is born? It's like, oh gosh, that little prince has just got to be taken care of. You can't have nothing dirty around him. He's got to eat a perfect kind of foods. You know all that stuff. Remember when they spit their pasties out? They spit that thing out, and the moms will go and grab that thing, and they'll boil some water, and they'll put it in there for about 10 minutes, and let that heat up, and then they'll take it out and check it, And finally when it's just right, they'll put that back in the baby's mouth. And that second baby, when that one comes along, when he spits it out, you take it, you pick it up, and you cut the hot water on, and you run it under the sink a little bit, and you don't even check it this time. You just stick it right in their mouth, The third baby that comes along, when that passy gets spit out, you pick it up and you go, put it right back in their mouth. You know what I mean? And if you had 4 of them, when the dog picks it up, he licks it off, you pick it up and you just stick it back in their mouth. It is interesting, though, how we learn some lessons from our kids. You kids are teaching us stuff all the time. One of the things that we learn is that you won't break that easily. I used to have people say when I pick up Matt or Kenzie, you're not carrying around a sack of potatoes, Steve. But they didn't break. Their heads didn't pop off. They're still around. Moms, I just wonder if you can just picture yourself in Jochebed's place for just a minute. Can you imagine what she must have went through? Even trying to hide her baby for 3 months. 3 months. I mean, babies do what? They cry, right? I mean, and what happens if you know people? Because most people get in trouble for things is because somebody else tells on them, right? Because, you're probably the neighbors over there. Well, my baby got thrown into the Nile, and I hear Jochebed's baby's crying over there. And so, the natural thing for people to do is to tell on each other. How do you keep him quiet? What do you do for 3 months? Could you do that? Those first 3 months, could you keep your baby quiet? This is what I think. I think when Jochebed saw something great, I think when she saw that boy, she said that she saw he was fine. I think she saw something great in that boy. I think when she saw that boy, that she said, this is no ordinary boy. And I know moms say that all the time. I hear it all the time. Say, my baby's so smart. Look, he's holding up number 1. He can already count. Your baby's not that smart, But we always think that our child is something special. But I think that Jochebed saw something amazing in this boy Moses. All moms do that, though, don't you? Your boy's on the basketball team, and he don't make no points the whole game. You sitting back, you got a big grin. My boy's the best ball player on the whole team. Your little girl's in the dance recital, she's up there stumbling around. She's not in step with nobody. I think she's going to be a ballerina one day. Or your son's playing the guitar, and he can't play nothing. You think he's going to be the greatest guitarist in the whole world. That's how moms are. Don't you see something? You see something in your children that nobody else can see. Is it wrong? No, it's not wrong. Because I'm going to tell you, friends, it's there. It is there. And if you see it, it's because God has placed it in your heart to see something that nobody else can see in that child. That's something that you've got that nobody else can have. So what do you do with that? You encourage that. You let them know that, man, you are awesome. You are wonderful. You are perfectly made. You are my boy. You are my girl. You see your daughter graduate from college. You see the next president of the United States. Jochebed, I know she saw greatness in her son Moses. And in that vision, you make preparations in their lives. You make sacrifices, don't you, mothers? You learn to do without some things so that they can have. You give up certain comforts so that they can go to college. You become less so that they might become more. Am I telling the truth, moms? You children, are you listening to me? I believe that Jochebed thought God's got big plans for you, little Moses. He's got big plans for you. And mothers, I believe that you've thought the same things for your children. God has great plans for my son. God's got great plans for my daughter. And when you say that, I want you to know that He truly does. That He truly does. The next mother I want to look at is the mother of King Lemuel. Do you know who this is, where this is from? King Lemuel. He's already got it on the screen probably, so you can probably tell me, right? Let's go to Proverbs chapter 39. Proverbs 39. everybody said, man, I hate it when a preacher preaches on Proverbs 39. The ladies are going like, this is just not fair. This woman's so perfect. She gets up early in the morning. She cooks for everybody. She's always making clothes, And you leave thinking, I am no way the kind of mother or wife that I'm supposed to be. I'm not going to talk about that woman at all. And I think there's so many of us that miss these beautiful passages of Scripture when King Lemuel's mother gives her son this particular advice. Now, I'm going to read verses 1 through 9 in chapter 31, okay? The sayings of King Lemuel, an oracle, his mother taught him. So this is kind of a poem or something that the writer wanted to share in a different kind of way, that his mama had taught him, something he had learned from his mother. O my son, O son of my womb, O son of my vows, do not spend your strength on women, your vigor on those who ruin kings. It's not for kings, O Lemuel, not for kings to drink wine, not for rulers to crave beer, lest they drink and forget what the law decrees and deprive all the oppressed of their rights. Give beer to those who are perishing, wine to those who are in anguish. Let them drink and forget their poverty and remember their misery no more. Speak up for those who cannot speak for themselves, for the rights of all who are destitute. Speak up and judge fairly. Defend the rights of the poor and the needy. Good advice. This King Lemuel is, well, there was no King Lemuel in the Bible that we know of that refers here. And I know that there's some of the commentators that think that this may have been a pet name for Solomon, that her mother may have called him Lemuel. It might have been, it's like when your moms call you, you ain't done nothing bad, it's like, Stephen, come here. Stephen Grissom, come here. Stephen O'Brien Grissom, get over here right now. So that's the whole part of it, and that means there's business that needs to be taken care of. And this Lemuel may have been a name that she referred to him with a little more sternness, because we see that she's giving him instruction. So if this was Solomon, if this is who it is, then this was Bathsheba that was giving him this particular advice. Here's a woman, listen to me. Here's a woman that has high expectations of her son. High expectations. Here's a woman this woman's not afraid to tell her son, how he should live and what type of people he needs to be hanging out with, and what he should be doing, what he shouldn't be doing, and how he should lead and be an example to other people. This is a woman that wasn't afraid to tell her son some truths. Some truths. She wasn't afraid to tell him what kind of wife to marry. She wasn't afraid to tell him what it was that he needed to do and what he needed to learn. She told him, she said, I want you to spend your time hanging out with people that like to party. You don't need to be drinking and smoking and cursing and all these things. I just add a few extras in there. But she was telling him, you don't need to be hanging around with people like that. I know in my house I was supposed to be home at 11 o'clock at night. 11 o'clock at night. It was times, I was like, man, 11 o'clock. Daddy, man, 11 o'clock, that's when the stuff's getting ready to happen. And that's what he knew. 11 o'clock, you're going to be home. You're not hanging out with when the stuff is happening. There's the good stuff's happening here. The good stuff is happening on the possum track. That's where you need to be getting back to. She tells him not to hang around with the wrong kinds of people. She said, choose your friends wisely. She tells them to defend those people that can't defend themselves. Moms, you ever tell your kids that? You ever tell your kids to stand up for people at school that can't look out for themselves? You know what may happen? Your kid may get in a little trouble. She tells them that they should defend the rights of the poor. They need to be charitable. They need to give. They need to help people that are in need. I read these passages, and I wonder why we spend so much time on this latter part, making women feel so miserable that they've got to meet up to these particular standards. They got to be all these wonderful things that nobody can be hardly. I mean, I preached from that Psalms 31 and the latter part of it, and wives coming out with tears in their eyes. I'm just a terrible mother. I'm an awful wife, I read these passages and I realize that this was a bold woman. This was a bold mother. And I just ask the questions, Mom, are you giving your children these types of instructions? You know, are you bold enough to tell them not to drink, not to do these things, not to have sex, I mean, are you bold enough to just tell them? I mean, just tell them. Don't be beating around the bush about it. Just tell them, don't do this. Well, why, Mama? Because I said so. Because I know better. I know what it's like. I know what kind of trouble you're going to get into. Do you have high expectations for your children's Mom? I'm going to tell you this, mothers. You need to realize this, that you are raising world shakers. You know that's what you got in your house? You got world shakers. You got leaders in your house. You got people, you got eagles in the nest. You don't have little sparrows. And when you send them out, you want them to be able to soar and soar high. And they will not unless you have these expectations of them. I'm telling you, moms, you're raising world changers. I hope to God you are, because we need some world changers today. Kim and I have high expectations from our two children. And I believe that I believe that people will rise to the occasion if you set the goals and the expectations. Children will rise to the occasions if you tell them that this is the mark. And I'm not saying do it in such a way that you discourage them or they feel defeated if they don't, but I'm telling you, unless you ever let your children know that these are the things I expect from you because you belong to me, because you're a child of God, they will never attain it. See, I'm not setting the standard. God's already set it. I'm just helping it along. Jeremiah 29:11, for I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you hope in the future. These are God's plans. I need to get behind those plans. I need to step with Him in those plans. If God's got these plans for my kids and God's got these plans and these dreams for your children, you better have them also. And I'm going to tell you this, the reason that we often don't have this level of expectation is because we're not willing to model it ourselves. Did you hear what I said? The reason that so many times we parents don't set a standard high enough because you and I are not willing to model that standard in our own lives. We want our kids to have a high work ethic, but we know we're lazy. We want our kids to be prosperous and wise with their finances, but we got a spending problem ourselves. We want our kids to meet the right spouse, the right husband, or the right wife, and we look at our own lives and think, well, I've made a mess of that. When we set the standards high, then we must live up to the standards that we have set for them. We got to model it. We got to wear it. I talk to pastors sometimes that they say, yeah, it's about a church. Yeah, it's mediocre. They're all right. All right. You know what? Because of their expectations, that's all the church will ever be. And because of their example, that's all that it will ever be. I've talked to pastors who said, my church is awesome. They're grade A. They're number one. They love the Lord, and they're excited about the things that are going on. And you know what's going on? Those people are. They are because the standard has been set, and the example has been shown to them. That's what it should be in all of our lives. Whether we're in church, whether we're raising kids, or whether we're at work. You want a good relationship with your husband and wife? Set a standard. You want your wife to love you in a particular way, then you've got to love her that way. She's not going to love you in a particular way, and all you do is gripe and complain about everything that she does. Set the standard. I'm telling you, expect a lot out of you kids. I expect a lot out of you. God expects a lot out of you. But don't expect more of them that you're willing to model. If you don't remember anything else, you just remember that today. Zig Ziglar once said this about his mom. He was out hoeing in the field one day, and he was doing a half-hearted job at it. Any of you ever had to hoe in the field? Ever had to hoe tobacco plants? Okay. And this is what she said. She said, that might be fine for other boys, but you're my son, and you are capable of much more. Oh, man, I love that. I love to hear a mother say something like that. Tell them that I know what you're capable of, and you're doing mediocre work right now. People need to know that about us. We need to tell people, we need to tell our children that when you do a half-hearted job, you bring disrespect on the Grissom name, on the Britt name, on the Rouse name, on the Williams name, on all these names. What you do reflects on all of us as a family. What we do in the church has a reflection on all of us in this church. Individual lives have a reflection on all of us. This mother of Lemuel, she had great insight for her son. She knew that he was going to be a future king. And she raised him with the expectations of what it was going to take to be a good king. Moms, you got future kings in your homes. You got future leaders. You got future teachers. You got future parents. You got a future of our country in your home. And this last example, we see a mom and a grandmother raising a boy to prepare him to be a future pastor. And 2 Timothy chapter 1, verses 3 to 6. 2 Timothy 1, 3 through 6. Thank God whom I serve as my forefathers did, with a clear conscience, as night and day I constantly remember you in my prayers. Recalling your tears, I long to see you. Talking about Timothy. So that I may be filled with joy. I have been reminded of your sincere faith, which first lived in your grandmother Lois and your mother Eunice, and I am persuaded now lives in you also. For this reason, I remind you to fan into flame the gift of God which is in you through the laying on of my hands. We've got a first-generation convert here into Christianity, and Lois and her daughter Eunice, and Eunice was raising her little boy named Timothy. And apparently Eunice didn't have a husband that was a Christian, because there's no mention of him. There's no mention of him there. And I know that many moms, live in a house with unsaved husbands, and they're trying the best they can to raise their children to understand and to love and to put their trust and faith in God, but they don't get the support. They don't get the support from their spouse that's necessary to do this particular work. I know it's difficult, and you seem alone in trying to set the example. And here Eunice was committed to raising Timothy to know and to fear the Lord, and one day there was this need for a pastor. And this little church in Ephesus, and this man Paul, who had been working with Timothy for a while, decided that he would be the person that would lead this congregation. This mother and grandmother, they had trained up their child in the way to go, and when he was old, he did not depart from it. There's an old saying, when a child is young, he steps on your toes. But when he's old, he steps on your hearts. And I know that thing that your mom deal with many times. And I want to say this, that there's no mom that's perfect. You're going to fail in a lot of things that you may do in raising your children. Don't let that destroy you. I read some of these thoughts about motherhood. It says someone said that it takes about 6 weeks to get back to normal after you've had a baby. That somebody doesn't know that once you're a mother, normal is history. Somebody said that you learn how to be a mother by instinct, but nobody ever took that somebody never took a 3-year-old shopping with them. Somebody said being a mother is boring, and that somebody never rode in the car with a teenager with a driver's permit. Somebody said that if you're a good mother, your child will turn out good. That somebody thinks the child comes with directions and some kind of guarantee. Somebody said good mothers never raise their voices. That somebody never came out the back door of their house and see their child trying to baptize the cat in the swimming pool. Somebody said that you don't need an education to be a mother. That someone had never tried to help their 4th grader do math. Somebody said that you can't love your 5th child as much as you love your 1st. That somebody doesn't have 5 children. Somebody said a mother can find all the answers to their child-rearing questions in the books. That someone never had a child stuff beans or corn up their nose or ears. Somebody said the hardest part of being a mother is the labor and delivery, and that's somebody never watched their baby get on the bus for the first time going to kindergarten, or watching their son get on the plane headed off to Army boot camp. Somebody said a mother can do her job with her eyes closed and one hand tied behind her back. And that somebody has never organized a cookie sale with a bunch of giggling brownies. Somebody said a mother can stop worrying after her child gets married, and that somebody doesn't know that marriage adds a new son or a new daughter-in-law into the heartstrings of the mom. Somebody said a mother's job is done when her last child leaves home. That's somebody never had grandchildren. Somebody said your mother knows you love her, so you don't need to tell her. That somebody is not a mother. James Dobson said the main job of a parent, or I'll say a mother, is to get the hand of Jesus into the hand of your child before it's too late. Napoleon said this, let France have great mothers, and France will have great sons. Mothers, are you praying for your children? Are you teaching them what it means to place your trust in Jesus? Are you modeling that trust in Him in your own life? As a mother, your greatest gift to your children is your devotion to the Lord. It's the greatest gift. And children, I know that you may not know what you should give your moms for Mother's Day or any day, whether it's jewelry or perfume or anything else, but I'm certain that the mothers would love to see you give them more than anything else your devotion and your following of Jesus Christ in your own life. Moms, you are your children's guardians for just a little while. Don't smother them with your problems that you have in your life. Don't neglect them because of your busyness, because someone may steal them away. And realize that there will come a day that you've got to let them go. Are you preparing them to be let go? Are you teaching them what it takes to stand on their own one day? Are you teaching them that by their own ability they may not can stand on their own, but how to trust in the Lord for everything in their life? Mothers, this day is to honor you. And it's a day that we children want to say thank you and that we love you. Forgive us for not saying it more often. Not realizing what it is that you deal with in your own hearts concerning your children. I challenge you today that you may have had wonderful children. You may have had children that have given you a lot of heartache. You may be thinking of a mom that is no longer with us any longer. Whatever your situation may be, think of this. What is it that you're willing to offer Christ today? As a mother, your greatest gift to your children is your devotion to Jesus Christ. Greatest example of what it is to sacrifice all and to devote yourself to a holy God. Do your children know that? Do they see that in your life? God bless you, mothers, and happy Mother's Day. Let's pray. Lord, I pray that as we have heard from these three moms in history past, and we realize that they struggle with the same things that the mothers today struggle with. When you love a child, your heart will break and your heart will rejoice. The same with you, God. Your love for us is so much greater than even that we can have for our own children. When we follow you nearly, you're excited and rejoice with us. But when we wander away, when we become the prodigal and can't seem to find our place, you long for our returning so that you may welcome us home without any obligation on our parts, just knowing that your arms are open wide to receive us just as we are. I thank you, God. When you knew that man was not complete, And it would take a mother. It would take a mother to bring a child into the world and teach him true love for God. I pray this in Jesus' name. Amen. Bob comes and he leads us in our invitation. For whatever reason, if you want to come, you come and pray.